Hi, Sam. I'm so happy to spend a few minutes with you today by Zoom. Well, first of all, how have you been?
Good. Thanks, Thomas. Been doing really well.
Could you tell us first what were your goals before getting to Strasbourg?
I really identified with like the generalist profile. I didn't have any specific idea of what I wanted to do when I was older. I knew I wanted to study history. I knew I wanted to focus on something LGBTQI plus related because at the time I had been living openly as a gay man for several years and I wanted to do it all in French. And it seemed like kind of what I learned about the program, it was possible.
Could you tell us about the internship and the research you completed during that semester?
I ended up getting an internship with a sort of small memorial organization called Les Oubliés de la Mémoire, a really tiny organization with, a couple little field offices throughout France, Strasbourg being one of them. The organization works with like researchers, government officials, other activists to raise awareness about the deportation on the basis of homosexuality during World War II. My main job was to just kind of support ongoing project activities, organizing like une journée d'études à Paris, kind of continuing to do some like, topical research on the subject. And I ended up just kind of doing an overview of the different cases of deportation on the basis of homosexuality, how it, played out in region by region, the differences between France and Germany, for example, which was very much in line with like the work the organization does.
Wonderful. And I remember you getting an A+, so congratulations for that. Piece of work, which is a challenge. Could you talk about this, about the challenges the program sort of naturally bears for American students coming to Europe?
Sure. Yeah, I didn't have a whole lot of experience writing before, and I was under no illusions as to how difficult it would be when I was going into the program. And it was hard. And however, it gets easier the more you do it. So I guess what was hard was like the time management, because I didn't have those skills at first. Knowing how to research a topic. The way the program is set up that it really takes away some of those challenges and it makes it a bit more approachable. Even the language, right? Kind of knowing how to write in French in like an essay format.
Did you feel like you were given enough advice, assistance, and support during the semester?
Yes, plenty. I had an excellent memoir advisor, Mr. Jean Grana. He was always available just to talk, about big ideas and little ones. So I had his support. Tarek was always very supportive and willing to kind of meet up and talk about, what's challenging or what's going well. I had a lot of support from the Paris office, kind of helping facilitate some experiences that I may not have had otherwise. And then my thesis advisor from the organization, David Cupina, was excellent. I couldn't have asked for a better mentor. He's still a good friend of mine today. So,
what about navigating the city? What advice or just information would you like to share with prospective students about spending a semester in Strasbourg?
Strasbourg is a gorgeous city, and it's very easy to navigate. It's easy to walk around everywhere. You can walk from one end to the other in like an hour, It's a provincial French city, right? It's a big provincial French city. So the people are a little bit more open than in Paris, a little bit more willing to help. But there's still des Alsaciens, and so they're a little bit closed off from other people as well. There's a lot of students, everyone's young. It feels like everyone's young.
And what about, what did you do with that experience when you got back to the US? So could you tell us about the life after IFE?
Yeah, it was really hard to leave. I didn't want to leave. I felt really good in Strasbourg. It was such an eye-opening experience. And I'm from Texas, right? And so I went back to UT to finish up my last year of college. It was difficult to adapt back to, because I had integrated so well, I think, in Strasbourg. And when I got back, I ended up writing a second memoir of about the same length on a different aspect of the subject. So I kind of went in a different direction, but based on the same research. And that was a lot of fun. I got to present that as well at UT. And, as an LGBTQI, as a queer person, as a trans person, it was very much the genesis of kind of my progress after Strasbourg. So I got to really kind of build on the person that I was becoming in Strasbourg, which was great.
Well, that's great. That's so nice to hear. And you came back to France, right?
I came back for a little bit. I did TAPIF, which a lot of people do. The French that I acquired in Strasbourg was like far beyond anything I had ever learned in the US. I'm glad I went to, on that note, I'm glad I went to Strasbourg, right? I had wanted to go for like historical reasons and some family related reasons as well. But to experience life outside of Paris in France, in a big city still, was really interesting because they're all so different. Toulouse, Strasbourg, Lille, Brest, I can't even, Montpellier, Nice, Marseille, they're all so different. Yeah. And nothing could have prepared me for Toulouse, not even being in Strasbourg. So that was really interesting.
It is different, definitely.
Yeah.
And so what are you doing now?
So I'm very fortunate to be able to do something that I kind of first experienced during my IFE semester. I work basically for the US government, for a government institute called the National Democratic Institute, which is congressionally funded and works in tandem with the State Department. Wow. And we basically kind of help the State Department achieve its foreign policy objectives in human rights. And so I am a part of a small grants program where I manage small grants for LGBT organizations in Francophone countries, in Africa and so basically North Africa, Central and West Africa, and even East Africa in Mauritius, Île Maurice, which is pretty cool.
So you're using your French at work?
Using my French every day at work. I speak it in meetings. I write in French. I write reports in French all the time. I do emails in French. I hold calls and meetings in French. I'm very much using the experiences I had in Strasbourg, right? Working on an LGBT subject, mm-hmm. and then French, I very much think that that's one of the reasons why I was able to get this job.
That's great. Maybe a last question would be, what advice or any information would you like to share with a LGBTQI plus student wanting or maybe fearing to study abroad in general, or maybe specifically with IFE in Strasbourg, as you want?
Keep an open mind. Keep an open mind. It's okay to be afraid. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to be nervous. I was. If you're concerned about the living situation, maybe do like the student housing. You can kind of control your environment more. People are kind, I think at the end of the day, even though there's cultural differences in regards to LGBT issues between the US and France, there's still people, and I was often treated with the same respect that I was treated with in the US. And I met people who supported me and who encouraged me and who I could, go to. Don't apologize for who you are, bring it all with you. It can be a huge asset, and you'll never know who you meet along the way. Learning to manage that fear and keeping an open mind is really important. I think the benefits far outweigh the potential negatives. I ended up making friends that I'm still very close to, like my internship director, who is himself a gay man, and I got to know him in the capacity as a gay man. When I went back and visited him, he was nothing but supportive of my transition, right?
Wonderful.
And so you'll come back stronger, I think learning how different cultures react to this kind of thing it can only make you tougher.
Well, thank you so much, Sam. Is there anything you would like to say and add?
Do the program, apply. You're probably way more capable of it than you think you are. I didn't think I could do it, and I did. And it's very much changed my life. I'm a huge advocate for the program, and it is what you make of it, It's very much what you make of it, If you want it to be a very a big learning experience that you get a lot out of, and you speak really great French at the end, and you write a great paper, and you make friends, you can do that. You know, there's very little standing in your way. And it can also, you know, and if you want it to just be a study abroad thing, it can be that, but there's a potential for a whole lot more. So
wonderful. Well, thank you again, and we'll be in touch.
My pleasure.
Bye-bye, Sam.
Bye, Soa.